Independence Day by the Urban Bandits, or actually, it's the Urban Bandits, that's their actual name. This record was released back on Twisted Red Cross in 1985. It is catalog number 4, and yes, it is signed. I met Arnold, had a good interview, but most of you have already saw that already. Now, there's a couple things about the artwork and this album in particular. This album was actually recorded on Independence Day in 1984, yet was released 1 year later. And you might notice something about the artwork here, and if you don't, I'll tell you real quickly. So, the Philippine flag, blue on top, white in the middle, well, technically white on that side, red on the bottom, but blue is always on top, red's on the bottom. That's how it's properly hung in normal circumstances. However, you might notice it's red up on top. What's that mean? Well, the 3 stars, they represent the 3 main islands. Visayas, Mindanao, and Luzon, and the sun represents the sun shining down the Philippines. Well, this red on top, when the flag is hung that way, it is a declaration of war. It means the Philippines is at war, and that's technically what they're going by with this. This is a symbol of rebellion, aggression, and dire distress. That is a really cool hidden meaning there, and I did not know that until I looked it up. On the back, we have 16 killer, awesome, hardcore punk songs. A couple of them fused with some 50s doo-wop. You don't really get that much in punk rock these days, and especially back in the 80s, especially in the U.S. scene. The U.S. scene was all about obliterating anything that wasn't you know, anything like that. I'm probably just scared of people, which I do want to say, this is the www.punkrecords.com 2015 reissue. It is not the original. It has nothing to do with Twisted Red Cross, aside reissuing, paying tributes, and paying respects to it. Independence Day, cassette tape, 1985, Twisted Red Cross number 4, Fatal Response cassette tape. We'll get to that later. We will get to both of those later, but Arnold Morales, my buddy, on vocals, Freddy de la Cruz, his name is Freddy actually, de la Cruz on guitar, Dondi Fernandez on bass, and Royal de la Cruz on drums. In 2017, before I actually knew about them, they did a reunion show. Man, if I would have known about them, I would have been there. Good God. All songs by the Urban Bandits, originally released by Twisted Red Cross's Tommy Tanchenko. I've talked about him before, and for those of you who haven't seen my Fascinating World of Garbage video, Tommy Tanchenko is the guitarist and founder of Third World Chaos, which was the first punk rock band ever from the Philippines. I'll do a review on them later. But Tommy Tanchenko also founded Twisted Red Cross, which was the first and is the father independent punk rock record label in the Philippines. It originally started as a cassette-only label, releasing 17 killer hardcore punk rock cassettes of Philippine underground punk shit. So shout out to Tommy Tanchenko. Interview, please. I wish. Studio Z recording engineer, the guy who put it all together, mastered and produced by, and vinyl produced by Jason McKelvey, something like that. But yeah, and no, this is not a bootleg. This was given the hands up, the thumbs up by the band. As you can see, I got my thumbs up right there. Now, let's look at the record itself. It's just a black record, but it's a good looking record. Made in the Philippines on there. It's got the logo of the country. Now, this right here, I will actually read in another video because, other than the first part, Arnold Morales used to play guitar for the punk band College, whose credits include the song Manila Girl. Yeah, Manila Girl was originally by Arnold's first band College, which, according to Arnold, there is a demo tape of them somewhere with like 5 songs, including a song called Lazy Sunday, but it's, like, that's like 83. That's lost to time and space, so you gotta thank the Urban Bandits here for putting Manila Girl on wax and screaming that shit into a mic and putting it on live, man. And then 10 years later, put the ska, electrocuted it with ska music and blasted it throughout Asia and the world on radio and television. Yeah, Manila Girl's pretty much the Urban Bandits' biggest, probably Arnold's biggest song ever. I mean, I love Manila Girl. I love all versions of it. Other than College, I haven't heard it yet. I want to, though. Arnold is known for breaking the most heart-wind chills of a single night. You punk rock motherfucker, man. When the band College disbanded, members went on to form Urban Bandits and covered College song Manila Girl. The band was formed in December 1983, and their gig Rock the 80s was only their 3rd live performance. The band's full name is the Urban Bandits, as I mentioned earlier. So yes, on the original cassette tape, this isn't on there. It just says this. And even on the 1993 reissue cassette, it just says this. That's actually a cool name. It's the Urban Bandits instead of Urban Bandits, but it is what it is. Now, there is also a 2015 CD reissue, which that we'll talk about, but I'm going to save you the dread of hearing me read all of that, because I know nobody wants to listen to that. So, the difference between the CD reissue and the vinyl reissue is the vinyl has these songs here, these 16. The CD has 2 extra bonus songs, Do You Rebel Rebel Live and Knock Papa Benzine Pantanin Live. Do You Rebel Rebel and Knock Papa Benzine right there. And also, so there are differences between the original cassette and the vinyl reissue and CD reissue that don't even include the bonus songs. The track listing is different. Just to name a few things, Modern Fishballs, which is track number 3 on the B-side, is how the original cassette opens, and different songs are in different orders, but for the most part, well, okay. These songs right here, Hoy, Modern Fishballs, News of the World, Medieval, these songs are not on the original cassette. This is the track list of the original cassette. Obviously, it's much shorter than the record. Battle of Mendiola and News of the World are on Fatal Response, which I do have the vinyl issue of that. Those are just on here. So, this is definitely a record worth getting. Now, what are these killer songs about? Obviously, Manila Girl is about a bright, modern girl from Manila, which there is a bit of a backstory to it. So, Arnold told me that while he was in Bulacan in his teen years with some friends, there was a girl who was really geared up about her fashion, and she kept, "I'm a Manila girl!" And so Arnold asked her where her birth certificate was, but yeah, that's where that song came from. But Urban Bandits version, I said in the beginning of this review that Urban Bandits are not just hardcore punk, but they sometimes fuse some doo-wop into their punk rock shit. And that song right there has got some doo-wop going on. You can find it on YouTube. Go listen to it. It's an amazing song. You can rock out and thrash to it, and woo! It's got that doo-wop going on there, especially with the rockabilly type of bass just traveling through the back of it. Knock Papa Banzin Pansinin. That song is about some jackass, conceited guy, arrogant dude, thinking he's cool, acting stupid, and it's just a response that is saying, "Yo, you're stupid, and I'm not like you, You're causing a dumb scene over there, well, I'm not like you," and I like that, Too many stupid people out there making a bad rep for the punk scene, and this song is saying, "Hey, fuck you, man. You're not gonna cause a bad reputation for us." No. Machine to Mark, that is a gag. It's a little satire towards Marcos, which, back in those days, you better watch yourself doing that. You might get shot. Breaking the Wall makes a hard reference to the Berlin Wall of, Germany, back when East and West was divided by the wall. Communists controlled one part, and the other part was free. Only instead of actually talking about Germany, they're talking about, obviously, Manila, and from what I interpreted, Marcos loyalist, because this album came out before EDSA. And this is 85, EDSA Revolution, where they kicked Marcos out of the country, was 86. This song is talking about that pretty much, There's Marcos loyalists who want the martial law, and they want him in power because they love what he's doing. And then there's the people who want the EDSA Revolution, they want freedom. So they're like, no, you know what? Fuck you guys. Why are we fighting? We all should desire freedom. Let's come together, unity. I believe that's what that's about, breaking that wall down and getting everybody together. We don't belong to stars! We don't belong to stars! Now, this song, I believe it is about the 3 stars on the Philippine flag, which, as I said in the beginning of this review, they represent the 3 main islands of the Philippines, Visayas, Mindanao, and Luzon, which I lived on Luzon, obviously. Tanza Cavite is about an hour from Manila. Now, the reason I think we belong to the stars is talking about them is because, for the same reason that of anti-flag song Stars and Stripes, they have a song called Stars and Stripes where they talk about what the stars in the flag represent of the U.S. flag, and the stripes, how the 13 stripes represent the 13 original colonies, which represent the genocide of the Native Americans who lived there first. Now, I compared that to this song because, as I lived in the Philippines for about a year, if you're over there, there's a standard that everybody pretty much puts you to. You gotta have this choir boy, dressed up tight, just this square-ass looking mentality, and they just want you to be a certain type of Filipino to rep their country, right? You know what I'm trying to say here? And so I think that song is pretty much saying, we don't belong to the stars, we don't belong to the image that you're trying to make us all belong to. I think that's what they're getting at, and if it is, I love it. It's great. It's a good song, and it's more of a chant there. We don't belong to the stars. We don't belong to the stars. Do you rebel rebel? Now, at first you're going to listen to the song and think, what a cool classic punk rock love song. It's kind of repetitive, but there's a bit more to this than you think. So towards the end of the song, they start, and I know why, hi, 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 and I know why, and I know why. So you might be like, wait, what? Do you rebel rebel? Do you love me now? And I know why. Oh, so you know why you love me? What? I don't understand. And then you really look into the song and you realize he's saying N-I-N-O-Y. N-I-N-O-Y. Ninoy was a politician during the Marcos era, and long story short, he was one of the opponents of Marcos, and he went to the U.S. for some medical treatments, I believe, but when he came back, he was assassinated. And I know why. Hoy, hoy, hoy. And I know why. I'll let you think about that one. I'm gonna just let you do your real research on it. Never is a good classic hardcore punk song. You know, music and magazines can lead you to anything. So what you say? It just talks about leather jackets and being a punk rocker and singing and just being yourself and shit. And at the end of the song, Arnold says, "You think that I will stop? I will never stop. Never!" So yeah, it's just a song about being yourself and never letting anyone tell you not to do it. You know, you be yourself, never stop being yourself. It's a good song. It's a good wrap-up for the A-side, which I will say, it never is the final song on the cassette. Just to put that out there. Hoy! It's a really good, fast, speedy, hardcore song about getting a rock smashed into your face. It's a really good song. No Future Sapader. This song is probably common sense to every single person watching this video because of what the ID is about, but just about life in the suburban area and just comparing how things aren't good for some people and for other people things are good. Like, you know, there's rats in the street, there's dogs barking, some people are able to sleep at night, others aren't, you know, there's drunks, and, you know, it's just talking about life and how people are struggling to get by and shit. No Future Sapader. It's, out of all these songs, other than Manila Girl because it's English, that song's pretty much, if you can't speak Tagalog, I mean, you don't really need to, but it's a song for anyone to understand and enjoy. Modern Fish Balls. I had some fish balls while I was over in the Philippines. I had squid balls. I had a lot of balls. I don't know why I said that for, but Modern Fish Balls are delicious, and that's kind of what they're actually talking about in this. No one's mad, just silly smiles on your face. No one's mad, just silly smiles on your face. No one is mad, just silly smiles on your face. So, they're making a metaphoric reference to no one is mad about the things that are going on. No one's paying attention. No one cares. Everyone's just eating some yummy, dummy fish balls and having a big, ignorant smile on your face because ignorance is bliss. They'd rather just chew away at that yummy fish ball than pay attention and give a shit about what else is happening. You know, that's what that song's about. I don't like your school! Now, that song I definitely relate to, especially back when I was in high school, because in the Philippines, it's Asia for the most part. Japan, China, Philippines, Vietnam, all them countries. You hear about it all the time from stories, from movies, from the news. School in Asia, the education systems in most of them countries, is not like it is in the U.S. In the U.S., unless you're going to a really hard private school, public high school is dress the way you want, do what you want, nobody gives a shit as long as you do your homework and, you know, don't act out. And sometimes you can't act out, no one will care. But over there in Asia, and most of them places, it's strict by the book, uniform. Uniform on your body, uniform mentality, no back talking, you do everything a certain way, and there are, in most of its private schools, what this song is also getting to is how some students who go to schools that are richer compared to others, a lot of the richer schools will talk down on the poor schools, like, you know, my father sent me to this place, it's much better than yours, I just kind of pulled that off pretty good, didn't I? But it's just talking about school snobs and the school system and how it's fucked up and, You know, the teachers treat you like shit, and so did a lot of the students. You know, back when I was in high school, I was treated like shit too because I liked to wear punk rock tees, and I just liked to be myself. And the teachers never gave me shit because they couldn't. But a lot of the students, though, a lot of the rich kids looked down on me because I didn't have as much money. And I've actually talked to some buddies of mine. There's a college in Manila called De La Salle University. You Filipinos probably know what I'm talking about. I got a buddy who goes there, and he told me that he's actually witnessed some of his classmates making fun of and trashing on, especially on social media, people and students from lower schools. Which De La Salle University, that's a college, but it just happens. A lot of richer kids in schools make fun of the poor kids, and just a lot of the bullshit standards that many schools like to prop up. They're unnecessary as hell, and I don't like your school. Schools, it's meant to be a prison. That's what the fuck it is. Schools are prisons. Sex Pistols said it once. Their textbook speech, it's all just fuck it. Blood in Every Heart, it can actually fix the school thing. Blood in Every Heart is about unity. It's a song about brown, red, yellow, and white. All of us together unite. Blood in Every Heart is a song saying we're all humans. We all got blood in our hearts. That's all there is to it. No one's better, no one's worse than anyone else. We all got blood in our hearts. Classic hardcore punk song about unity. Battle of Mendiola. Now, this song, News of the World, are also on Fatal Response. But Battle of Mendiola, to give you an idea, Mendiola is a street in the Philippines. It's actually in front of Malacañang Palace, which is pretty much the White House of the Philippines. And the Battle of Mendiola is referencing a battle that took place, and that, many battles have taken place on Mendiola Street. That is the street where a lot of protesters demonstrate and protest against the Philippine government and often clash out with the police. And in fact, last time I was in the Philippines for 9 months, I have witnessed multiple riots take place on Mendiola Street. That is not a street you want to be on when there's a riot taking place, because although some riots are peaceful, some riots can get out of hand, and you definitely don't want to be caught up in that, especially if you're a foreigner. As a foreigner in the Philippines, getting involved with any sort of political rallies or political protest or whatever, doesn't matter if it's in Manila Street or whatever street it's on, if there is one taking place and you get involved, and especially if the PNP or the authorities catch you, arrested, deported. And it's not just going to be, I'm sending you home tomorrow. There's a little place in the headquarters of the PNP called Bicutan Immigration Detention Center where it is considered to be hell on earth. That's where a lot of foreigners go to disappear. So if you don't want to disappear, if you don't want to go through a hell of a lot of shit just because you got involved with a protest that probably might be featured on the news for 5 minutes and then ignored, it's not worth it. There are much better ways of spreading ideas. Now, if you're Filipino, go for it, Filipinos have every right in the book to stand out there and speak, but they do not tolerate foreigners doing that. Doesn't matter if you're a tourist, doesn't matter if you're a 13A, which is a permanent resident. Now, if you're a foreigner who's married and you have decided to become a Filipino citizen, I can't speak for that because I don't know what they would do in that situation. I've actually heard, not people in that situation, but if you're a permanent resident and you get into trouble over there, what they'll do is they'll take your status back. Sometimes they'll just make you be a tourist, or they'll just kick you and ban you out of the country. They don't tolerate foreigners of any kind getting involved in political activism, which I know. I'm talking about the Urban Bandits, a hardcore rebellious punk rock band from the 80s, and I'm telling foreigners not to get involved. That's just the state of the Philippines. I know here in the United States, anybody can get involved in any sort of political rallies, political activism, and it's okay. You can be a tourist. People from other countries fly over here to get involved, but shit doesn't work the same way in other countries. They don't tolerate things like that. They tolerate their own people doing it because their own people are their own people and they have those constitutional rights. But anyone else, you don't have the privilege to sit over there and help out, unfortunately. But I wanted to bring that up too because I know a lot of keyboard warriors are like, I understand what's going on in the Philippines. I'm going to go over there and help. Yeah, you're going to get some shiny silver bracelets and be sent right back home too after who knows how long detention in the Bicutan Immigration Center. News of the World. Now, this track, I'm just going to admit, I don't fully understand it, mainly because I can't really understand the lyrics, and I've even asked Arnold, and now he doesn't even remember. But just from the title, it's obviously about world events from around the world, and I can kind of get that, because I can understand some of the lyrics, I should say. Not the entire thing, but some of the lyrics, and it's just a punk rock instrumental with a speech over it, talking about world events and what we should do and what's going on, and you pretty much can get that just from the title. Just to reiterate one last time, the vinyl reissue of Urban Bandits Independence Day does not feature the live versions of D Rebel Rebel and Nog Papa Panzine Panzinin. However, it does feature the live versions of Battle of Mendiola, News of the World, Modern Fish Bowls, and Hoy. Now, you want to know where those extra tracks originally came from? I'm going to show you. Modern Fishballs Live and Hoy Live originally came from Rescue Letters and Human Barricades cassette tape TRC-1 by Twisted Red Cross. Now, I don't own that because I'm not that lucky. But if you go to the Philippines and you happen to become luckier than I was, you might be able to get your hands on it. Otherwise, just get the vinyl or the CD because it's on there. But you might be asking, okay, I get you, but where's Battle of Mendiola and News of the World? On this sexy boy over here, which is also signed by Arnold. Twisted Red Cross, Rescue Letters, and Human Barricade, Fatal Response. Right there. News of the World and Battle of Mendiola. Yes! And also down here, Brave New World Live. Do You Rebel Rebel Live and Nog Papa Panzin Panzin Live. The two bonus tracks on the CD that aren't featured on the vinyl, that's where they came from. So pretty much, yeah, there were multiple, and also there's the third bombardment from Twisted Red Cross. There are multiple different Twisted Red Cross punk rock compilations back in the 80s. Only one of them I have on vinyl. I wish I had the cassettes. But to sum it all up, nice and easy, if you want everything by the Urban Bandits, you need to get the CD. I have the CD. If you want the highest quality sound by the Urban Bandits, see them live! Or buy the record. Now, the reason I say that is because I myself, Arnold himself, and many other punk rock friends from the Philippines have stated the CD has a mixing issue. The sound quality of the CD is, it's not bad, but, a little, well, just listen to it. The CD is the best way to contain all of the songs by the Urban Bandits, but it does not have the best sound quality, and especially for the live songs that already had a bit of a, it was the 80s and they didn't really have the best technology to record, and it's going to sound a little noisy, but it's just punk rock shit, so it is what it is. But I'm just saying, if you want all the songs by the Urban Bandits, then you need to buy the Urban Bandits Independence Day 2015 CD issue. But I also recommend buying this record because you still get all four of those. You just don't get the two bonus tracks, which is what it is. And I will leave a link in the description of this video where you can buy this right here and the CD from www.punkrecords.com, because you can spend $20 or more on eBay or Discogs for a used or a sealed version of the record or the CD. Or you could spend around $15 from the record label that made this happen. Your choice, but I choose the record label because, let's just say, 500 of you buy this from the label. Maybe they might just reissue more, and maybe a bunch of phone calls might happen, and we might get a reissue of Rescue Letters and Human Barricades, Brave New World Live, and Third Bombardment, and all the Twisted Red Cross stuff. Because as of right now, this is the only Twisted Red Cross compilation that has been reissued. Fatal Response, which I fucking love Fatal Response. I will be reviewing it at some point in the future. But until then, guys, I'm Anarka Akaza. Thank you so much for watching my Urban Bandits Independence Day 2015 vinyl reissue review, signed by the one, the only Arnold Morales himself. And I hope at some point I can see this band live, because I fucking love the Urban Bandits. Anyway, guys, thought I was finished. So, I'm going to show you just how important the Urban Bandits were to really finish this. So, we're back here in the liner now, as you can see. There's pictures of the band playing. This is on the other side. This is their story and the information about Twisted Red Cross, including the lyrics to Hoy. And on this side, we got a poster, or a flyer I should say, of some shows from back in the 80s. Kumbele and Paralyzed System Ltd. presents Sound the Alarm. Sound the Alarm! That was very not... I wasn't Filipino at all. Private Stock and Woods play with the dead beats. Third World Chaos vexed in the dead ends. God, I would have loved to have seen that show. Public Scandal, Ethnic Face and Absolute Zero, and up here, Urban Bandits, Sex Militants, DDD, and Negative. Regitive? I can't really read that one. I just noticed this. So these are 4 different shows. Sound the Alarm 1, 2, 3, and 4. When I first looked at this liner note, I thought those were different cassettes. I was like, God damn it, there's 4 more cassettes that I gotta find. But no, as you can see, there's lightly printed on their times. These are different shows. Saturday, September 22nd at 9:30 for Third World Chaos and the Dead Ends. I can't really read that one. It says something about August. Over here we got Saturday, September at 9:30. Don't know what year, probably 84, 85. Entrance, 20 pesos. 50 cents? Damn. 50 cents. Not even 50 cents. Well, back then, that would have been a little bit of money. That would have been a little bit of money in the 80s. But today, that's nothing. Hell, punk rock shows in the Philippines today are around 100 to 200 pesos for entrance fee. But this is what I wanted to read to you guys. This right here is photo file. It's talking about when the Urban Bandits officially threw in the towel, which there's a picture of College, by the way. The song Manila Girl was originally by the band College, so that's a picture of College. Although we can't listen to College because the recorded material by that band is long gone, I'm glad we can still at least see a picture of them, and thanks to the interview I got with Arnold, and just thanks to him being alive and well and able to talk about them, we can still at least appreciate their history and know who they are. Thanks to this record right here, thanks to the liner notes, we can at least know of College and know the legacy that was created because of them. But anyway, word has it that the Urban Bandits have called it quits. Too bad. They were the premier punk band of the land. They were the first band among the punk hardcore to have emerged from the underground punk rock scene. Whenever they were on the stage in concert, there was always an air of anticipation. Whenever they took the stage, boy, they were simply the damnedest, most exciting to watch. The crowd goes wild, sometimes a little too wild over them. To backtrack a bit, I first saw them perform way back at a concert at the National something or other. Or was it the name College? Anyway, to make a long story short, the band was then known as College. The guys that made it up were Arnold, Engel, Rick, and his brother. The revamp of a coup took place, and from the ashes that was College emerged the Urban Bandits. The lineup now included Arnold Morales on vocals, Roger de la Cruz on drums, Donny Fernandez on bass, and Ford de la Cruz on guitars. From one day to doomsday, the Bandits was the band to reckon with. They unleashed such fury, and with the original compositions such as No Future Sapodera, Rebel Rebel, and Knock Papa Pansanin, to name a few, it saddens me that the Bandits have decided to throw in the towel. And we all have to remember them by their cassette of Independence Day, It's the Urban Bandits. I'm sure there's life after the Urban Bandits. I wonder what Arnold's got up his sleeves for next time. I hope it doesn't take too long. Yeah, I kind of summarized it a bit, because I've got dyslexia and English a little broken there, but, man, there was a piece written about the Urban Bandits in some newspaper, probably Herald X, considering that was the biggest fanzine of the time. But yeah, there's usually, for good bands, the local fanzines always write up about them. Oh, damn it, they broke up. No! But people were sad. Hell, I would have been sad too, If I would have been there when these guys were playing, I would have been like, no! My favorite band is gone! But, yeah, they definitely left a legacy. And, they weren't the first Pinoy punk band. No, Third World Chaos was. But they were of the first, and they were one of the first to make a very big impact in the Pinoy punk scene. Oh, there's the Fatal Response original cassette right there. As you can see that one. It looks pretty much the very same as the vinyl issue. Yeah, it looks the very same as it. Just, well, there really is no difference in it. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I just noticed that just now. I'll look at this in the review video, but I just wanted to read that and show you guys the back here. If you ever find yourself a copy of Harold X, if you're lucky, there's Arnold just letting it all out. It looks like he's about to rip someone's skull apart right there. Good boy, Arnold. Yes, my friends, to sum it all up from Anarka, which opens the record, down to the live version of Hoy on the B-side. Urban Bandits Independence Day is a non-stop hardcore 80s Pillray punk fusion of deadly hardcore punk with politically and socially charged lyrics and songs that you can thrash around to, with occasional fusions of doo-wop sound in the Maniligo, Nakmabazine, and a couple of the songs. I do love that, actually. I do love the doo-wop style that's fused in there because, like I said, not many hardcore bands, especially not in the U.S., do that. But in the Philippines, Urban Bandits, Zoot Suit, Private Stock, there's actually quite a few bands from the early 80s and the mid-80s Pinoy hardcore scene that have fused doo-wop, 50s doo-wop, into their music, which I think that is absolutely remarkable. You know, in the USA and the hardcore scene, you'd get trashed for that. You know, if it wasn't hard, fast, unrehearsed, if it wasn't just obliteration, then they didn't want it. But in the Philippines, they were open to, you know what, let's make it hardcore punk. Let's make it this way, but let's put a little some of that in there, you know? But then again, the hardcore scene in the Philippines, I mean, the hardcore scenes all around the globe, their reasons for being are different things. You know, mostly in the U.S. it was, they were sick of the Reagan administration, they were sick of the blandness that everything was becoming, and it was just an explosion, you know what I mean? And the music that was happening in the U.S. at the time, the Eagles, the Beatles, the Fleetwoods, you know, all that stuff, it was garbage. You know, they were getting sick of fucking hearing it. They were getting sick of the way people were dressing, sick of the clubs and the disco radio. They were sick of all that stuff. That was just an obliteration of it. But over in the Philippines, I mean, things were tough and things were hard, but and I'm friends with a lot of the veteran punk bands, so I can say this from what I've heard from them, they did not grow up hating the music that came before the punk scene, Apohing Society, Sapakita, and earlier Pinoy music. Most of the punks did not grow up hating that music. They enjoyed it. In fact, it's what they grew up with. I mean, according to Arnold, a lot of the elder rock and roll artists, like I seen in them, didn't necessarily care for, you know, the noisy punk rock music that the youth were making, but it wasn't that they hated it, they just were like, ugh, yeah, it's noisy, turn it off, I don't want to hear it. Yeah, you know, elderly people are like that usually, you know. They called, what I think was John Lennon once said, here's our new hit, or our new electronic noise, depending on what side you're on. It's always been that way. A lot of old people tend to look at punk rock music, it's so noisy. But, yeah, that hatred of the previous or the former music that was going on at the time, it wasn't necessarily there in the Pinoy scene, which is probably why so many hardcore Pinoy buck fans from the 80s infused doo-wop and even metal and many of the genres of music into their punk. You know, there's lots of, I mean, yeah, even in the U.S., a lot of punk bands fused metal, but just the scene in the 80s in the U.S. was so rule heavy, you know what I mean? You had to play it a certain way or fuck you, you poser. And from what I've seen in the Philippine scene, and I mean, Urban Bandits aren't metal. Definitely not. They don't even get anywhere near that. Giant Idiots and Dead Ends, they cross more into that path. But Urban Bandits, they do fuse it with a bit of doo-wop, and I'm just saying, I love that fusion. It's not in all the songs, no. You know, most of this record, this is straight up hardcore, classic hardcore punk, which is damn good. And like I said, it's politically and socially charged. The record talks about the times and events that were taking place during the 80s and the life back then and what people had to go through. You know, talks of personal experience from Arnold and his friends, and just what's really sad about the record is, especially since I've lived there, I can tell you this straight up, a lot of the things that are said about the record in the 85, you can still relate them to 2019. Even though martial law is well over, 30 plus years over with, a lot of people still feel the way they did it back then, today under the Duterte administration, and even under the previous administration. A lot of the things that were spoken about on Independence Day in '85 are still felt today, and that is heartbreaking. It really is. I mean, that's all over the fucking world, but Independence Day by the Urban Bandits, you know, it wasn't the first Pinoy punk rock record, wasn't the first Pinoy punk rock band, but it was one of the earliest, and here soon, I've got a surprise for all of you, but I just wanted to make a good review over Independence Day by the Urban Bandits and give my thoughts on it, because just, if you're new to the Pinoy punk scene, I highly recommend grabbing Independence Day by the Urban Bandits. You know, it's a cheap $20 record, $20 CD, go for it, listen to it. It's a good way, it's a good introduction to the Pinoy punk rock scene. Some of it's in English, some of it's in Tagalog, and even the Tagalog songs, you know, they're still easily listenable by those who can't understand the language. You know, you can still feel the vibe, you can still get a feeling of what Arnold and them are trying to get across to you without really knowing the language, and plus, lyrics are out there somewhere. Anyway guys, I'm Anarka Akaza. Thank you so much for watching my final record review of Independence Day by the Urban Bandits, or should I say, it's the Urban Bandits. I've been wanting to do this for so long, and I finally got it done. Arnold Morales and friends, thank you so much for creating a masterpiece work of art. Love you guys. Thank you for the interview, Arnold, and without further ado, do svidaniya. Ciao.